My name is Vijay Bhandari. I'm a CEO of Noesis Capital. Noesis Capital is India's leading and largest hotel advisory company. We deal in operator search, brand search, contract negotiation, capital raising, buying and selling of hotels. We established in 2010 and we have completed more than 2,000 assignments. On behalf of Noesis Capital, I welcome you all in e-Hotelier Summit. Today, we are here to discuss how design and design professional can assist hotel owners to reduce the risk of COVID-19. Today, topic for panel discussion is design challenges. Is it a time to redesign the hotel to cope up with the new normal? To discuss what is a new normal, we have India leading professionals, global experts with us on the design. All our panelists are authority, institute, and thought leaders in their practice. With this note, I like to welcome all our panelists. Our first panelist is Ritu Bhatia, Managing Director, TID International. Ritu, can you say hi to the audience, please?
Hi.
Our second panelist is Vandana Saxena, Principal, Studio 4. Ritu,
Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Hi, everyone.
Our third panelist is Mr. Kamal Malik, Principal Architect, Malik Architecture. Our fourth panelist is Mr. Khozema Chitalwala, Principal Architect, Designer Group. Khozema, can you say hi to the audience? Our fifth panelist is Mr. Peter Joehnk, Founder JOI Design.
Hello.
And our sixth panelist is Mr. Rajat Rialch, CEO HPG Consulting. To start the panel discussion with the international perspective, my first question is Peter. Peter, what are the fundamental change we're going to see in hotel design going forward?
You mean due to the crisis? In short term, there is definitely a change, more hygienic things you have to take care of. So we will have more distance in restaurants, more distance in conference space. We will have screens. We will have disinfected remote control in the plastic bag and in the guest rooms. Those little things. In long term, I do not think that there will be a heavy change in COVID-19.
Okay. Coming to you, Khozema. Can you hear me? Khozema, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can.
Okay. So, Khozema, how the design industry and design professionals are reacting to this pandemic?
So, first and foremost, I would say that as a design fraternity, I am or a part of a design fraternity. I don't see too many design changes which are likely to happen in the short term or immediately. There is a requirement of design input, but those are negligible. Most of the changes which are happening, which are likely to happen to open up very shortly, is all going to be more of operational changes rather than design changes. So changing a layout, little bit layout to create social distancing in lobby and to create little more spacing between or social social distancing in coffee shops and ADD or in similar kind of location like bar and other things are not going to be major changes in design which is likely to affect in the short term, because we all are not sure about what is going to be the normal in this situation ahead, because post vaccination probably there might be different scenario altogether.
Okay. So coming to you, Ritu, we've been working with the hoteliers from long time, and hoteliers, they typically believe in the formula of keep it simple and stupid. But going forward, where there's a lot of use of technology, do you think it will contradict with the principle, idea, and formula of keep it simple and stupid?
Come again, I couldn't hear you very well.
Okay, I just repeat. This question is for Ritu. We as an hotelier, we believe in formula of keep it simple and stupid. But going forward, there is a lot of use of technology. Will the use of a lot of technology will contradict with the formula of keep it simple and stupid?
It's a very interesting question. I think that it's high time that we embrace more technology in hospitality. I think it was in around 2016 that I stayed at the Cinnamon Red in Colombo, and they had a it was a budget hotel, but they had adapted technology very well in check-in and contactless checkout. And I think that it's important going forward, while it may not be directly interior design, but I think when we look at the whole package, the use of technology with DigiValet or check-in and looking at your bill through the systems, I think it's important, and I think we're ready for it now. Thanks. I think one of the only things we can say, thanks to this situation that we're in, is that we're all learning how to use technology more, and I think the guests would actually be happy to have more of contactless technology in check-in and going to the room. So it will, to some extent.
Is the session still on? I can't seem to hear anyone.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So to some extent it will. In terms of interior design, I think where we would look at is sensor with sensor sanitary fixtures and elevators and sliding doors. So that is where in design we can plan it, and to some extent integrate that with the rooms. But we have to be careful also that whatever we're doing is something that the guest will understand or be guided as we go forward.
Thank you. Mr. Malik, this question is for you. Do you think going forward the hotel brands and hotel operators will be more open for local thoughts and more vernacular approach to design?
I think I'll answer this question in two parts.
Okay.
One is at the macro level, right? There was a statement made by Stephen Hawking before he died that man will have to look for another planet by 2050. You see, so somewhere this issue of firstly understanding what we are doing wrong. See, pandemic is one aspect of it, but what we've been doing wrong a lot with this planet. So that's one thing that needs to be put on the table, that we need at the macro level to have a certain amount of sensitivity with respect to sustainability, use of local materials, use of local crafts and technologies and so on, and also to try and look at cutting the cost of these mega, I would call them very ostentatious kind of works, right? So I think that is one change that definitely should come in. In our practice, for decades, we have already been in that particular sphere. We've never moved out of that bandwidth. So for us, it's there is no real change. But I think definitely the hotel brands are going to ask for simplicity, and as I said, eco-friendly hotels, and of course, taking in the short term into account the effect of pandemic in terms of what you just heard, and the long term we don't know. Once the vaccine comes in and so on, we could very well, get back. Yeah.
Sure. Mr. Malik, so how do you see the future of banquet and MICE spaces? We are creating so large banquets and MICE in the hotel. So going forward, do you see the same trend will continue?
It's a personally, I would like to see smaller, more intimate functions where family is involved and so on, right? But
sure.
From the safety point, these mega affairs, right? But from the safety point of view, I don't think in the short term you're going to look at, because the air conditioning comes into play. Now, air conditioning, what kind of factors we will have to look at, right? Is because you're in one common room with air circulating. Now, I'm into healthcare, so I do HEPA filters and we work with operation theaters and so on. But now that's not something that you can do here. In any case, it's not possible. So where air is mixing, what are you going to do, right? So actually, I think the answers lie in the question sometimes that we don't really know and we will wait and watch how the next step develops or how things come about.
Sure. So coming to you, Rajat.
Yeah.
So what are the principal changes we're going to see in the back of the house, services designing and the kitchen designing? Are you going to see some, or it will remain as it is?
I really don't think there's major changes which are going to happen. I think we are overreacting to a situation, and the reason why I'm saying this is because if we really get into details, whatever X amount of changes you would like to do it, is it possible that two chefs will be maintaining a 3 meters distance, a 2 meter distance, and working? Is it possible? Practically, not really possible. So I think all of us have enough time and we are free in houses, and that is what is making us think all wild things. So I really don't see major changes happening up. There are two, three things I think there's a very good takeaways. I think the general perception towards hygiene and sanitation, I'm talking about in general, that is definitely going to happen. And I think that is the best takeaway from this COVID. If the COVID is going to change at least the Indian perspective or Indian mindset of hygiene and sanitation, I think thanks God, they sent us COVID here. So, and then when we really look into, the general hygiene and sanitation, then it goes much more than just, doing little bit changes here and there. Then it may also be, you will end up, trying to go to a supplier who maintains much better hygiene and sanitation. And that supplier will finally go to, one sub-supplier who maintains the whole chains get affected. I think that is something, a major change I foresee from these a general perceptual change towards hygiene and sanitation, not as a design change, just adding one more hand sink here or a access barrier there or sneeze guard. These were the things which in any case was there, but no one used to really implement it. India happened to be one of the only country in world where we never used to put up a sneeze guard, just because it's okay. All over world, you can't have, buffets without sneeze guard. So having a sneeze guard over a buffet is not really a change. It is a basic requirement. So I think not major change. I think the perceptual change towards hygiene and sanitation will increase, and which is a very good thing. Otherwise, what we are all talking about, maintaining distances, this and that, the hotel industry per se will become absolutely defunct, because in any case, the cost of development of projects are so high, and if you really force us to have 50% occupancies in terms of everything, no one is going to really invest it. So I really don't see any major change. I think we are overreacting to a situation which of
But Rajat, do you think
course is grim, but I foresee just within a matter of going to get normal.
But do you think, like going forward, back of the house will get its fair share? The kind of emphasis we give in the front of the house, the same proportionate emphasis will be given to the back of the house.
I don't think COVID will change the mental attitude. I think it's all about mental attitude. The guy who has a good perception and a detail about quality, today also he spends a lot of time and gives us freedom to spend money in back of house. The guy who is not very quality conscious will only focus on front. So I don't think COVID is going to change his thought process. I think what really matters is the quality comes from top to down. So if we as investors or who have a very quality conscious, for sure, like I'll give you an example. The basics what we struggle here in India to get it right is accepted dom in Middle East, and we they don't even discuss those with our projects in Europe. So what I'm saying is something which we struggle to get basics right here. There there's no discussion in Middle East and Europe for those projects. So I think it's all about your exposure to quality. And if you are exposed to quality, whether it is front of house or back of house, you will tend to create quality in both aspects. So I don't think the quality will make them intelligent, definitely not.
Coming to you, Vandana, what are the changes which we can bring immediately to the existing properties?
So Vijay, I've used this time to introspect a lot, and I feel firstly and foremostly we have to be very, very cognizant of the fact that the pandemic has just not happened, today as of, no consequence of what we've done in the past. So, how we take care of the environment is absolutely non-negotiable. So I just wanted to make that a point that I sort of speak out today. and the onus lies on us as designers to take the right steps for the hotels we build in the future. Now, for hotels that are already existing and have been built a certain way, I think it's a larger operational challenge than a design challenge because they've been built a certain way. They are air conditioned. They are, there are various kinds. There are your business hotels, your leisure hotels, your mid market, your up market, etc. I think integration of technology will be key because you'll be able to do contactless check-ins, check-outs. You can use one device to do multiple things, and that would, in the immediate, help us create more social distance, create less touch points. But I think in the future, as people come out of the pandemic, they'll be looking for much more. They'll be looking to probably relax and de-stress much more than what they wanted before. They'll not just go about doing their business as usual. So even if I'm traveling for business, I'll be more concerned about my health. I'd want to be taken care of a little more. I'd probably want more open spaces. So I think it would need a change in thought process at the owner level, at the brand level, as well as at the designer level. And I think there should be integration of wellness into design at all levels, be it in the choice of materials, be it in how we approach and combine our spaces, be it the connect between the inside and outside, be it our apathy towards nature, not apathy, empathy towards nature. And so I feel there are various ways to look at it. In the near future, it's definitely going to be easier to do it with technology because you've already built something. But as we move ahead and look ahead towards our future and towards a lot of the greenfield developments that are taking place, the onus does lie a lot on the designer to, definitely be more cognizant of what they're doing. And I think efficiency in design is going to be a key factor. You have to keep it efficient. You have to keep it low cost. You have to keep it local. That's the only way this is going to make sense as a business for our owners. So the onus for a lot of that is on us as designers. Yeah.
Rajat, can you suggest us what are the precautions we can take on a construction site in the view of social distancing and hygiene when the hotel is under construction or is in the greenfield stage?
During construction stage?
Yeah, during construction. During the construction.
I really don't think, except for covering your mask, it's very, very difficult, if someone has to, a mason guy, just imagine a mason guy, if he's putting up a wall, the other guy is bringing up bricks. So you can't leave the bricks 2 meters far off from you. The other guy is bringing up bricks. So you can't leave the bricks 2 meter far off street. Who are the people who really died? It's not the poor who are dying here. I think they have a very strong immunity. The people who are really dying is the people who stays in ACs day in, day out. If that is what the data shows. I think the people who are laborers and all, they're really not dying. People in rural world is not dying. They have a strong immunity in any what way. I think the people who have a lesser immunity,
I think his screen is frozen. Now, coming to you, Khozema, do you think going forward we'll have a lot of sourcing done from Indian supplier in the interior space? Because earlier we used to have a lot of Chinese material. Khozema, you have to come closer to the mic. Sorry, Khozema, we can't hear you. Can't hear you. So this, my question to Ritu is: do you think like going forward we'll have a lot of use of Indian, like we're going to use a lot of Indian supplier in the interior design space? Because earlier we used to have a lot of Chinese material. We used to go to China for all the sourcing, where we will be more vocal about the local stuff.
I think it's always good to use as much as possible local materials, and that also brings in the factor of sustainability, that they say that to use materials within a certain radius. Definitely for art and articrafts, we have a lot of good artisans in our country, and we always promote local artisans and for our artwork. But when it comes to furniture, lighting, I think we still have to look at quality first. We would definitely love to use, products made in India, provided the quality is topmost. Because in hospitality, it is the ergonomics and the robustness of furniture and lighting as well that is very important. So I would like to still look at it from the fact of design and quality, which would then which would then enable me to take that decision of where I'm sourcing my product, and also depending on the type of design I'm doing. So if it's very modern and I do want to use some European, furniture or manufacture, now if I know that the company is able to deliver, whether he's manufacturing, in Italy or Spain or China or Malaysia, what is important to me is the quality. And I think that is what I would look at in terms of sourcing, especially for furniture and lighting. And but yes, if I'm looking at things which are readily available like marble and stone and tiles, then definitely from India.
Per key in hotel will reduce because a lot of touch point will be reduced. There will be limited F&B space. There will be limited smaller wellness area and a lot of use of touch-free technology.
Sorry, we missed you. Who's the question for?
It's for Peter.
Sorry. Yeah, well, I would like to add a little bit more general comment, because it came from Kamal already. Ritu said the same. We are in a phase where the pandemic probably speeds up general trends, and globalization has been a long time the trend, but I'm sure it's more now going into local sourcing, into more ecological sourcing. I know that India still has sometimes a quality problem with furniture, but I think in long term, that will not in long term. That will be solved in a relatively short time period, I'm sure. And then the current trend really is more trying to establish a coziness and a hobby feeling with local materials and local craftsmanship. Now the question was very different on contactless door openers or whatever. Definitely, as technology proceeds, that is a trend, but it's not a major design trend. It's just a feature that will happen. Not that we are forcing it, but yes, as it is there, it will be used.
Okay. My next question to all the panelists: what is a new level of architecture and interior designing we're going to see in the leisure property? And going forward, are we going to see a lot of urban tourism and urban resort will get a momentum? I can start with Malik.
We are currently in the process of designing properties. One of my major destinations, which is the mountains, is Bhutan. We are doing 3 properties in Bhutan. We're working in Rajasthan. We're working in Kerala. I think all of the essentials that good design needs. I will not use the word minimalism, I would use the word essentials. And working close to the ground, we've been studying old technologies, how people have been very, very resourceful in trying to cope with issues of climate and so on and so forth, right? The summary of this is that more and more we will have to build sensitive to the ground and just get away from this over theatrical approach that I have been seeing to hotel design. Everybody wants his hotel to be more grand than the other. Now, I've never understood these kind of words. They've been it's beat me. What is the meaning of these words? So I think there is going to be far more sensitivity. The scale would be, things will be scaled down, and as Peter was saying, becomes more intimate and more real. So this is the way I think things are going to pan out in the future.
And sir, going forward, do you see like urban tourism and urban resort will gain more momentum? Resort which is closer to Mumbai, like Lonavala, Igatpuri, will see much more tractions?
I think they already do. And, and certainly the ability for people, if they can, like I have a house in Lonavala. So for me, I take point to point from my place in Mumbai to my house in Lonavala, and it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's doable. I can go on a Friday evening and I come back on Monday after breakfast. So actually, it makes it very, very convenient. So I think, yes, the answer is the affirmative.
Yeah. Sure. Ritu, what's your view now?
Well, I agree with what Mr. Malik has said, and domestic tourism is definitely going to increase, which I think is going to be great for our country. We have a lot of potential hill stations and beach resorts which are still untouched, which probably haven't been viable yet due to logistics and infrastructure available. But I'm hoping that going forward, the government looks at aiding hoteliers to build and develop those. And we are already seeing boutique properties coming up, themed properties, something like what Postcard is doing. So I feel those, boutique intimate spaces are going to give way for us designers to have more experiential design. So, the guest wants an experience. So going forward, I think what is important is, from an operations point of view, the guest has to feel safe. And design point of view, the guest, we have to give them an experience. And that is going to play a big role in whether it's 2 hours driving distance or a little more. But I foresee that there is a lot of potential to create properties hotels which don't have to be you said earlier, it doesn't have to be very large, but it has to be more that the guest the experience the guest gets in the local feel, the materials, and the feeling that the spaces have been well thought through.
So you're saying that in future we'll see more and more boutique resorts, small boutique resorts.
I think the potential is there, and I think it's great because it actually gives more potential for interior design, and I think it's a matter of us working with the hotel owner or the brand to be able to think out of the box and do things. So, for example, like restaurants, there's a lot of debate about spaces between the tables. Now, it isn't practical, but I would probably like to create an interesting design of a divider without it feeling like a divider. It can be something hanging from the ceiling. It could be a floor mounted, or it could be just part of the whole table design. So now it has to be built into the experience. And I actually think bringing back PDRs, or private dining spaces, will actually be something great for the guests to feel that they have a private space and that they are distanced. So you're going to see two types of guests: those who are probably still a little, scared or worried, and those who do not want to remember that we have just are either in or out of a pandemic. And that is where the design will play a role, to give them a feeling of comfort and a bit of distancing, but without being reminded constantly.
Sure. Rajat, what's your view on this? Rajat, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me? See, I
Yeah,
believe there's already a reverse migration which is happening. People are coming back to the villages and all those things. So I think if there is some support of government in automatically small form.
I think we'll catch. I think there's some technical glitches at Rajat end.
Accommodation stuff would start.
Vandana, can we have your views by the time Rajat join us back? Vandana, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Vijay. So I feel it is. Yes, I can hear you, Vijay.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
You're clear.
The leisure anyways picking up pre-pandemic, and it shall be more so post the pandemic as people want to travel with their own larger families and friends, and for now it will be their safe group, as you call it. I do agree with Mr. Malik on what he said, that it is the time for us to be more focused on conscious design. And that is definitely more possible when you build, in the hills, or you're building in leisure destinations where the number of keys or the footprint, number of keys that you have to build are lesser. The footprint is larger, so you're able to concentrate on more honest design. So yes, I do agree that the leisure destinations are going to definitely be more popular, and they would be more focused on developing those.
Sure. Khozema, what's your view on that? Sorry, Khozema, we can't hear you. No, again, we can't hear you. Rajat, can you hear me?
Yeah, of course I can.
Yeah, we miss your views. Yeah, we was talking about village resorts.
See, what I believe is, and which is a need of ours, India has such a cultural diversity. See, all along we have been, literally focusing more on, the urban locations or anything which is pretty near to, any urban location. I think there is now an opportunity because the trained manpower has gone back to their villages and the rural area. So I believe if the government slightly pushes, or at least if we can create some core groups in a small format, the hospitality can really pick up. And if you really see in last couple of years, the major increase in tourism has happened in experiential places. So Airbnb is a typical example. The Airbnb is an experiential space. So people are ready to. And then if you have a trained manpower, they are going to stay there itself. So I believe in a small format, some or the other way, small rural cultural experiences will start coming out, because that's the most easiest thing to be done. I believe that is definitely a good outcome which is going to happen.
Okay. Peter, what's your view on the same, the new level of architecture and interior design in leisure properties?
Yeah, definitely leisure properties will develop quicker out of this crisis because that's a local market. But worldwide, India also is not only a local market, it's a big business market also with international business. So we will always have the big hotels in the big cities, definitely. And we have to think about solutions also with a hotel with 500 rooms. And we have to build big hotels in big cities as the ground is so expensive. So the little resort is a dream, and definitely there's a current trend to go into smaller units and to think local. But reality is the other side also exists. And but as I said right at the beginning, COVID is not changing the design in long term. That's I think we all agree. But the trends speed up and will all become more local and more cozy, and that I think that's what we can take out of this discussion. What I heard, everybody has about the same concept.
Khozema, can we have your views? I don't know. I think there's some technical glitches at your end. Okay. My last question to all the panelists: what are the future innovations and trend we're going to see in the back of the house design, architecture, and the interiors? To start with, Ritu, like if you can enlighten us. What are the future trends and the innovation we're going to see in the architecture, interior design, and the back of the house? So you can start with the interior designing.
Well, so to keep it more generic, like I said, we don't know what is going to be the the real impact from the pandemic. So from a more general point of view, I would say that we should adapt technology because that will help us irrespective. It would be nice to see some robots in the lobby, and in some places, I think it's already happening. China and South Korea, there's a restaurant where they are. It's called a bar, robots for the robot bartenders. So, these type of things are actually interesting, and I think it can be something positive. I also feel that, like I said, it gives us an opportunity to really think out of the box on spaces, make them more multi-use and multifunctional, so that if required in a short-term basis, we can use them for different purposes, because I don't think you can do away with any function of a hotel. You need banquets, you need spas. So maybe some areas can be a little more multifunctional. And to just put a thought out there as to, do we really need large reception desks going forward? I think I would probably like to rethink and rather question the real functionality of the reception desk, and probably keep it to be a little more simple, and use technology to help the guests check in and go straight to their room.
Sure. Rajat, what are the future trends or innovation we're going to see in the back of the house and the kitchen designing? Rajat, can you hear me? Rajat, can you hear me? Mr. Malik, can we know what are the future innovation we want to see in the architecture? Sir, you have to unmute yourself. Mr. Malik, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So as I was saying, the public areas as we know them are going to become smaller and smaller, because we've been building these monstrous lobbies and and so on. So that is one, and we will have to start to look at compressing most of the areas, because you are also going to be looking at commensurate staff, the number of people who are going to be working, and so on. So all these proportions, whether it's 1 in 7 or 1 in 5 or 1 in 4, there is a guest to staff, are things which are going to come into play. And the physical design must take cognizance of all this, whether it be at the kitchen level or at the plant level or at any service level. You ultimately will have to look at it that this is the kind of resource I've got, this is the kind of staffing that I can afford, right? And therefore, this is the technology that I need. And I've, for example, seen a kitchen which is 1/3 the size of what I have been seeing as kitchens when I was working with ITC and Oberoi, and it's still a very versatile and great kitchen. So I think things are going to change because you cannot have 20 people operating it.
True. Rajat, what are the future trends we're going to see in the back of the house design?
I don't know, because see, unfortunately, the whole industry, what we are talking about is operator driven, and
Yeah.
then they have a thought process. So I think when it is a branded one, there could be different one, but given me a choice, let's put it, given me a choice, my experience of running my own resort has been that I would like to do things in such a way that majority of my cost is a variable cost. So if
Sure.
I can outsource max, I would like to do that. If somehow I create a mechanism where majority of my cost is absolutely a variable cost, so that any fluctuation which happens, I'm not really getting very affected about it. Second thing, what I would like to do that tomorrow, of course, I have if I ever open up something even in a non-metro place, what I would prefer to do is I'll go to the nearest village. I'll pick up 15, 20 guys. I'll train them and hire them rather than, getting IHM pass outs and this and that, because if someone who is staying just 2 kilometers from him, from the location, and if I can train him and he can work in that place, come what may be, first, he's not going to leave. The second, all this pandemic and shandemic, what we all talk about, can be easily taken care because he's only going to come, so that will add a lot of value. So I think at a macro picture, if we can come out with these solutions, and nothing like it, it will solve, because hotel industry per se totally depends on a migrant population. So this
True.
small little, say for example, a Gurgaon, just 10 kilometers around is all villages. Why don't a GM or the operator tells them, go hire 20 guys who are not doing anything, train them, and they can do up and down just 2 kilometers. Yes, Bombay cannot afford to happen. Yeah, of course, this cannot happen in Mumbai, but Mumbai is the only city where they have a different problem. But if you really see it, any city you pick it up, you cross 10 kilometers, you'll find rural. So why don't we think slightly? So I, in any case, have done this in my second project. Also, I'm going to do this. So I'm very convinced the future is, if we really want to involve the locals ones, this is the right way. But we have to think slightly out of box and do some additional efforts rather than sitting in our office wearing ties and then thinking about you know something big. So if that happens, I think that is the biggest takeaway, and it should happen. Why can't it? Can't be? It can happen.
Sure. Peter, what are the future trends and innovation you going to see in the design industry, interior design?
Yeah, I think it's the mindset that's changing, and the mindset in the society that generally changes the trend. The designers do not develop trends beside the society. It's always a change within the whole society. So less globalization is one trend, definitely. We will look for more local materials, more local products, also in India, by the way. I think we are going to be more thoughtful, more environmentally friendly. That's a trend also pushed by the pandemic, and we will certainly be more thoughtful about products and design, helping the planet to continue existing. And well, a little thing is the hygienic ambition that comes up with the this pandemic. So it need products and need to be easy to clean. Probably we will have less decoration, although that's against the other trend, which is this coziness feeling, this warm feeling. But probably we need to rethink decoration, which needs to be cleaned. Yeah, and functionally, I'm not sure whether the buffet restaurants will be the future, or it's more service, or whether we will find a clever solution to have hygienic buffets. That's something the design world needs to think about.
Thank you. Vanda, what are the future trends you're going to see in the interior designing?
So, Vijay, I think in interior design, it will have to come down to a lot more cleaner, functional design. And as I've said before, efficiency will be key. So, selection of efficient materials in terms of materials that are maintainable, less theatrics, use of materials that are closer to nature, that remind you of nature. So biophilic design, as they call it. It's not necessarily materials born out of nature, but sometimes a lot of materials that remind you of nature. I also see trends towards creating spaces that look more residential. Even in a business hotel, I think spaces would look more cozy and residential, and would generate an experience for a user of more comfort and relaxation, because that's what everyone is seeking today. And less stiff and cold spaces. So, less use of acrylics and glass, but more use of woods and warmer materials is what I would sort of predict as a trend.
So, Khozema,
Vijay, I have relogged in. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so it's clear now, sir.
Thank you. So I would like to address the first one as well as the last one.
Sure.
I will combine both of them together and respond to you.
Yeah.
There is a scenario which has happened, which was very not really expected by everybody. There is a reverse migration, which is happening. So people from urban areas are going to rural, and if that is very successful, what we were going to be see is that we will see a large number of hospitality projects coming up in B and C class cities, which will increase the demand. Now, these projects, whatever may be, whether it may be a business project or business hotel or leisure or for something which is very health oriented, they all will have to be very, very sustainable. Sustainable not only in terms of architecture and design, but they have to be sustainable in terms of the way the planning is being done, as way the costings are being absorbed, because everything is going to be becoming very, very difficult from year on. Because what is the biggest factor which guest is going to be asking for is, this is all going to be very, very personalized kind of thing. According to me, they would like to be more attentive, whether by the use of technology or whether by the use of person. It has to be very guest centric. It has to be, the experience has to be very guest centric. So people will know by the use of technology whether what kind of fragrance I like, whether I like being more healthier. So there are probably dumbbells required in the room, or probably there is a child who is traveling, so there is a teddy bear which could be placed to cuddle over. So those kind of aspects are going to be there. Pandemic or no pandemic, we are social beings, or so we are going to travel, and we are going to be there. Future of hospitality is going to be as bright as it was yesterday. It is a matter of time that we will recover from it, and we will be out of it, and then we'll be running a long runway again. At the same time, I feel that there is going to be a conscious vertical which is likely to grow, and especially in India, we can bring that vertical very, very well, is the wellness or well-being, I would say. Because we are masters, we have a history, we have a background which gives us which has given such a humongous experience in creating something which is like a wellness. We align our chakras very, very well, and we have mastered that art of it. And if we could bring that particular vertical in the hospitality, I think so we will have even the wellness tourism, which would be one of the trends which India would benefit out of it in a very, very big way.
Sure,
and I absolutely agree with Rajat that if there is going to be a reverse migration, why not train people there? Because we are relying on local resources, we would be able to do a lot of good things over there. Technology cannot be separated, my friend. We have to live with the technology. Whether somebody likes it or doesn't like it, he will have to start using smartphones, and he will have to start getting things updated on smartphones.
Thank you. So thank you all the panelists for your insight and enlightenment.
Vijay, there's a question which has come. Vijay,
Sorry?
there is a question from one of the hotel owner. He's not able to hear you guys properly. He has sent me a question to be asked to you.
Yeah.
He's an asset owner. Now what his point is, are the aeroplanes getting redesigned? Are the stadiums getting redesigned? Are the offices getting redesigned? If not, then why are we expecting the hotels to be redesigned?
True, very true.
Absolutely
like we have to only require a minor tweaking in the in our F&B spaces.
Yeah, that's okay. So practically, if the major things are not getting, offices not getting redesigned, aeroplanes not getting redesigned, any manufacturing unit not getting redesigned, how are we expecting that hospitality is going to be redesigned? Means, I think it's a very pertinent question. He owns a couple of assets here. Vandana knows him. So what is your answer to it? So I need to give this answer back. So what is your answer?
I think Rajat, we're not really talking of redesign, but looking at future trends. So is there going to be a change in thought process for the future? Vijay, if you want to add to that.
No, but one single event don't changes the trends, na? End of a day,
it does sort of pokes you to think.
No, are we not overreacting? My question is very simple. Are we not overreacting? Just because all of us are sitting homes and we really are just looking at are we not overreacting, isn't it? It's not only the design in general. Yeah, I think the good part is all of us are spending so much time with family. When was the last time you guys really spent? Take the positive out of it.
So we're going to design hotels and resorts where the families can go and stay and have a better time together.
Rajat, we all appreciate that we have spent, but 3 months is actually too much of a time which we have spent with the family. So we need a change. We need
a little bit of change. Now you understood. So this is the problem.
We need to come to your health.
This is the problem. You get married and make family, but then realize you don't want to spend time. This is the problem.
Try to understand. You need everything needs to for a change. That's what we are asking for.
Come over.
So just quickly add. I heard a webinar with the US company and a US, the panelists, and hotels have already opened there. And they said there are two types of guests: those who are, who are paranoid still and want to be assured of safety. And I think what we're saying here is that a hotel, you don't know the guest who's coming in before, right? I mean, you have a guest history, but you don't know what they're feeling. So I think what we're saying is that we want the guest to be comfortable, that the hospitality industry has thought through things. And then there's a guest who doesn't want to be reminded. So in order not to be reminded, like you don't want to put, sanitizers everywhere or put things in their face, that is where interiors and design comes in to give that comfort and feel good factor and to give the guest the experience. So we want to cater to that type of scenario because we don't know how long this is going to last. Assuming it becomes another type of flu, the guest wants to be assured that the hotel industry and all of us as consultants have thought through, all the parameters of handling this in the hotel industry. To me, the hotel is the safest place, even more than my home, because I have full faith that the housekeepers know what they're doing and they have the best sanitizers and the best methodology of keeping the place sanitized and clean.
So, Ritu, can I respond to that? Vijay, if you give me
Sure.
permission.
Yeah.
Ritu, I think so. Of all the public buildings and public spaces which exist, to best of my knowledge, hospitality is always considered the best in the hygiene levels. They are considered one. Apart from hospitals, the hospitality hotels are considered best for their hygiene levels. And I think so. All our operators and all our brand are ensuring that yes, we are doing it. The only question is that how long it has to be done. So whether it needs to. So cosmetically, we need to incorporate that whatever hygiene measures which we are trying to take. Are we going to camouflage that we are going to do a cosmetic work on it, or we want to do something which becomes a part of an integration of the design? That's a bigger question for us. And not making it as a part of a design is a justified decision, which I think so most of the operators, most of the brands, and even you and me as a designer would take a point that yes, we should not do it. We should not rush into those kind of decisions. We should wait, watch, and see what will, because there is another new normal which is going to emerge, will emerge, definitely emerge after the vaccination, and we don't know what is going to happen.
True.
Mr. Malik, you like to add something on this?
Yeah, I think pretty much everybody is summed it up. That I have only one thing to add, that we don't have to do to do any knee-jerk reaction,
Yes.
and we wait and watch as to how the cookie crumbles, so to speak. And once that happens, then we can start to take, I think, a more considered view towards whether we need to do any major changes. But I think that was a very relevant point. That the aircraft, there's no change, and so why are you wanting this hotel to change? So let's I think wait and watch, and we hope that this too shall pass and we are back to regular life, so to speak.
Peter, you like to add something on this?
No, I fully agree. That was a very good point. With no change in airplanes, no change in offices, there will be probably slightly changes, but not visible. And as I said, everybody said it right at the beginning. COVID is a problem, but it will not change the world afterwards.
Okay.
Vijay,
So,
there's one more question which has come to you by a CEO of a hospitality chain. These guys have been writing to me. He's a South Asia head of a hospitality chain, and this is specifically for you. His question is, why are we stuck in reinventing everything?
Okay.
No, it is for Vijay, and this is by a CEO of a international hospitality chain head. He's sent me a message that I can't. It's getting frozen. If you can ask specifically Vijay. The question is, why are we stuck in reinventing everything?
I think we don't have to panic right now. If the vaccination is not there in another 6 months, then we have to look into reinventing, because we are just has to wait and watch and see how the vaccination come up. If the vaccination is there, I think we don't need to reinvent. We have to just wait and watch for some time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rajat, I think so. We will all evolve. More than reinventing, we will all evolve, and that evolution is going to take us to something which is going to be a different path altogether. So nobody has a crystal ball in front of them, and
I think it will be all normal. I think it will be all normal. Yeah. Anyway, it's how you perceive things. I think it's all about how you are going to perceive, and it's more of a personality nature which responds to situation like these. I've seen these when I climb mountains. I do expeditions. So when you sleep in a glacier, you never know what's going to happen in next 24 hours if in case the avalanche comes in. So I think it's how your personality basically respond to such situations in life.
So I'd like to give a vote of thanks to all our panelists. Thank you, Peter, for joining us from Germany. Thank you, Ritu, for joining us from Gurgaon. Thank you, Vandana, for your time. Thank you, Mr. Malik, for your precious time. Thank you, Rajat, for giving us so much of insight. And thank you, Mr. Khozema, for your precious time and joining us for this webinar.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot. We had a lot of interesting insight, and it was really enlightening for our audience. Thank you.